Hello riders, welcome to Cycle Training with Trinity. My name's Trinity and today we have a 60-minute climbing strength workout. So go ahead, get settled on your bike and let's get started. All right, everyone, taking the first few minutes here just to get settled on your bike, starting with a super easy pedal, little to no resistance here. We should be at a 1 or 2 effort out of 10 and kind of free spin, whatever feels good for you these first few minutes. And while we're here, going through our workout today for some climbing strength efforts. If you clicked on this video, I anticipate that you're looking to build some strength, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. We're going to spend a decent chunk of our time here getting warmed up and doing a few exercises and drills on the bike. I promise you will eventually start to sweat during this time. So after these first 5 minutes, we're going to work on ramping up just a little bit, getting into a slightly higher zone and getting our bodies ready to work. After that, we'll have a few minutes of spin-ups. Because we're doing climbs today, our bodies are naturally going to be moving more slowly than they would otherwise. And so giving us an early opportunity to spin our legs out, again, getting our heart rates in a good place, getting our legs ready to work, and then we will start working. We have 4 climbs today, each of which are 6 minutes long. During those 6 minutes, we'll shake it up just a little bit to keep it interesting. But otherwise, we have 6 minutes on, 3 minutes off. We're doing these climbs 4 times. And then at the very end, as you'll notice, we have an 8-minute tempo ride. So similar to our warm-up here, it's kind of a chance to let our legs flush out some of those heavier efforts that we have there, and also give us a little bit of that stamina building. But the main purpose of our climbs today is to work on that strength. We're going to be hitting zone 5 several times today, so some of those higher zones, but typically when you work in zone 5, you're usually putting on a little bit of extra speed to add your power. Today, we're going to be expecting our bodies to move slower. I'm expecting 60 to 70 RPM, depending on if you're standing or seated. And because our bodies are moving so slowly, we have to add that remaining power through our gear, so through our resistance. And we're really gonna feel it in those big muscles in our legs today. But that's why we're here. We're building that strength. Strength is just as important as speed work. So we're taking the opportunity to do that. We have about 2 minutes left here in our first 5-minute warm-up. The next step will be ramp ups, which is where we ease into zone 2, maybe zone 3, if you're starting to feel comfortable. Again, we'll have that kind of last step to our warm-up where we do some spin-ups, but we have time. And if you're doing the math today and say, Trinity, 4 reps of 6 minutes is only 24 minutes, you're right. We are keeping the main chunk of our work, the climbs, on the shorter side of things. But we will get in that extra work. You can think of our ride today looking like relatively steep climbs that we're going to be doing 4 different times. In between, our recovery will look like a little bit of flat ground to reset. And then adding in these drills at the start and our tempo at the finish makes this feel more like an outdoor ride. So a little less than a minute out. As we get into our next effort with our ramp ups, starting to find the speed ranges that'll work for you, starting to make it a bit more realistic. If you started out here going super slow, that's totally fine. But doing a little check-in with yourself on your cadence, getting it to somewhere that makes sense for the work that we'll be doing. And even if you're not ready to pick up the pace just yet, that's also fine. Our ramp ups will guide us for that as well. Or should I say our spin ups, excuse me. I was writing out our workout today and noticed I was writing up 3 different times. But with that in mind, I'm gonna go ahead and push an extra gear on just to start getting my legs engaged. As we put on just a little bit of power here, a little bit of resistance, looking for that zone 2 kind of effort. So maybe getting a 3 or 4 out of 10 still should definitely feel easy. But in this zone, it's totally reasonable to maybe start building up some warmth in your body. With zone 2, we should feel the pedals underneath our legs. So we are pushing down and starting to get that engagement in our lower body. Similar to our first 5 minutes, this may seem relatively boring, but I just want to make sure that when we get into this heavy work and these drills, and I do this in a lot of my videos, just making sure that we're not jumping into things and accidentally hurting ourselves because we take off too quickly. And this is a tenet that I use for outdoor rides as well. I have been on several rides where I show up ready to take off. The group might take off a bit quickly as well. And 15, 30 minutes in, I'm like, man, I'm super tired. That's because I took off without a proper ramp up. So I do always like to build in time for that, just to give us that appropriate warm-up time. But just to outline what's going to be up next, specifically for our spin-ups in our warm-up, is giving our body the opportunity to move just a bit faster. Since a lot of our work tonight will be pretty slow, we'll be in the 60s to 70 range for RPM. Just letting ourselves add a little bit of speed to our legs. We're keeping the effort light when we get there, but just so that our legs will have the initial opportunity to spin out. And then we will have that opportunity one more time with our tempo ride towards the end. But so we'll have 4 minutes in that spin up section. The first 3 will be for spin up, and that last minute we'll just use to reset before our first climb. But with those first 3 minutes, we'll go 80 RPM, 90 RPM, 100 RPM. And again, not looking for high effort there. Just looking to get a little bit of speed on. And then with our climbs, I was saying earlier that we're gonna switch it up and keep it interesting. At home or wherever you are, do what works best for you. If you want to do a standing climb for 1 minute, feel free to do that. If you want to do a standing climb for all 6 minutes, you can do that too. This is your workout. But what I'm going to be guiding us to do is 3 minutes up and 3 minutes down. And for those of you who are outdoor cyclists, you might say, Trinity, that's a long time to do a standing climb. And I get it. And yes, it is. But that is part of our practice here today. That's why we're doing this ride. We're gonna build that strength. You can go as fast or as slow as you want, but we are gonna push through those 3 minutes climbing, if that's the challenge that you choose. But we're just about 30 seconds out from our spin-ups. And again, we're still sticking in this zone 2, maybe zone 3, definitely on the easier side than it is hard. Just gonna be looking to get a little bit of speed under our legs. But so if you want to, we're about 10 seconds out here. If you wanna start finding that first cadence, I actually need to slow my legs down a little bit to get there. We're gonna settle in to a minute of 80 RPM. Some of this too is just good practice to find those different cadence points. That way when you're riding these speeds over and over, ride after ride, you get more comfortable with how they feel in your body, and you can recognize a little bit better what speed you're at. So you don't always have to be glancing at your bike computer to see how fast you're going. About 30 seconds in here, nice and easy. At the top of the minute, we're going to add about 10 RPM and get right into it. If you need to take off a gear in order for it to keep feeling easy, definitely do that. And this whole time, just keeping a nice, relaxed, controlled breathing. Let's go ahead, bring our legs up. Those 10 RPM, getting close to 90 if you can. Another thing about these cadences as well, if you're at home and you're like, Trinity, I can barely hold 90 RPM. No way can I hold 100. That is totally fine. Pick a speed that'll work for you. You can either shift everything down by 10 RPM or just hold at 90 for this whole time. Again, I coach our rides, but when it's you and you know your body best, these rides are totally adaptable for every single person. At the end of the day, if you're on your bike and you're getting in the workout, you're doing a fantastic job. 5 seconds here, getting ready to take up to 100. It'll be our last minute of spin ups. So let's go ahead and get into that now. Adding a little bit more speed. If it stops feeling easy, as in easy in your overall body and easy in the watts that you're putting out, take off a gear. That's how we're gonna take off our power here, since we are trying to hold that higher speed. And just a minute total right here. You guys are almost halfway through. After this, we'll get a minute break to reset, and then we'll get into our first climb. You might feel your heart rate starting to pick up here. That's fine, that's expected. I do want you to keep breathing. It's a very important piece about all this. About 5 seconds left, keep it going. And take it down. Let your legs slow down naturally. Take off any gears. 1 minute of just easy free spin to reset. And at the top of this minute, start climb number 1, 6 minutes. It'll probably take just a bit of time for you to find that zone 5 effort. We're looking for probably an 8 out of 10, 7 to 8 out of 10 effort. If you know your zones and if you have a framework that'll show that to you, you know exactly where you need to be. But otherwise, this first climb is all about settling in and figuring things out. Because of that, this first climb will start with 3 minutes seated climb, and then we'll go from there. But all right, first few seconds of climb number 1 starting out here. We're looking for that slower pace, 60, 70, maybe 80 RPM if you're really feeling it. I probably need to go up a ring, but really starting to feel that push right away underneath your feet. Letting your body feel that push underneath your pedals. And our first 3 minutes are going to be right here. As far as the workouts that I coach goes, this is one of the slower ones, as are most of the climbing workouts that we do. And the concept with slower pedals but higher gear is that your total power sits up here, and it's a combination of your speed on one side and your resistance on the other side. And practically, if you're an outdoor cyclist, resistance can be both gear and elevation if you're on a hill or not, but both of those kind of chalked up to the same thing. So while you're inside on a trainer or a stationary bike, because you're adding up, not mathematically, but conceptually, adding up both speed and resistance to get your power. If you have less speed, you're going to need more resistance in order to get to that same power. In this case, we're looking for zone 5. And so that's how we get that same overall effort, that same overall output and work on our bike. Because you'll notice we're about 2 minutes in here, 1 more minute seated. Your body's probably heating up by now, doing that heavy push, heavy work against your pedals, even though our bodies aren't moving that quickly. But one thing I want to introduce here before we do our first climbing effort is holding this same effort, this same power in that standing climb. So if you're at home, and if you have a bike computer or something that tells you the power that you're putting out, that number, your watts, is the goal for when we're standing. Because when we do stand up, you may have to move even slower and then adjust your gear accordingly, but your watts are the truth sayer. They know all. So here we go. First climb here, standing up. I added more gear and I'm slowing my body down even further, but I'm looking for that same power, telling me that I'm putting out the same exact watts as when I was seated. Now we're doing this for 3 minutes. Like I mentioned before, this first set is all about settling in. If you're new to the bike and you're like, I have no idea what an 8 out of 10 is supposed to feel like, this is a great opportunity to figure that out. You might be going through this effort and saying, oh man, this is actually a 10 out of 10. I totally underestimated this effort. And that's fine. Take off a gear, go slower. It's all in the learning process. Similarly, this first rep, we might get through it and you're like, oh wow, 6 minutes is way faster than I thought it was going to be. I could hold this effort forever. If that's the case, you may have the opportunity to challenge yourself with an extra gear. Almost halfway through this climbing effort. Goal is to keep breathing. You may start to feel it in your quads on the tops of your legs, especially in this standing effort. This is what we're looking for, this feeling, and it's what helps us get stronger over time. The good news is that once we sit back down at the end of this interval, it'll be a real break. You'll be able to get water, spin freely. I will stop talking for just a little bit. But for now, keep pushing. You got 50 seconds. You can do this. Make the changes to your gears as needed. Again, settle in. If you have that power meter, take a look at it. See if you're matching where you were at the start of this climb. And just hold on to that number. Once you do have your gears in place, all you have to do is hold that steady speed. for about 15 more seconds. Come on. Whew, this is where that sweat really starts to build up. I can feel it. But now, take a seat, take some gears off. Whew. And we start those 3 minutes to yourself just to recover. Whew. Slow your heart rate down. Let your legs spin free. Get some water when you're ready. And that was climb number 1. Not too bad, huh? I am definitely sweating though. It is hard work, especially that standing climb, very taxing on your quads. But again, it's about strength. That is why we're here. But as we close on this first minute of our recovery, hopefully your breathing and your heart rate's coming down, feeling slightly more conversational if possible. But you still have just about 2 minutes before our responsibilities start again. With this next set, it's gonna look exactly like the first as far as the work we are doing on the bike. The thing that'll change just a little bit is how we're thinking about this effort. For our first run, climb number 1, it's kind of a trial round. We might not have been on the bike before or done this kind of workout before. So finding that zone 5 effort, again, finding that 8 out of 10 can be a journey for us, especially in that first round. And if you're still working on that throughout this entire workout, that is also okay. But my hope for you is that with every round that we do, you start to feel more comfortable with the bike, with the gears that you need, with the speeds that you're going. So just improving on every iteration that we're doing here today. So about 45 seconds left for yourselves here. I'm pretty sure at this point onward, I will not stop sweating, which is why water is so important, that we don't run out. About 15 seconds left here. If you had all of your gears taken off, now could be a good time to switch back into them. I'll probably get into that now. And here we go. Round 2. As soon as you have those gears on, you feel those heavy pedals again. And because we're getting right back into zone 5, climbing just like the first time, we are again looking for those same watts on our bike computer. Once you feel pretty confident that these watts are your zone 5 work, feeling that kind of 8 out of 10 effort, all you gotta do is keep it right here. When we're seated, by default, a lot of this work will come through our quads, pushing our legs towards the ground. But if you can start to think about it, especially because we've taken out the movement of our seat, it's nice and still on the bike. We're also thinking about our hamstrings, engaging the back sides of our legs and pulling our pedals around, up and over to complete that full circle. And speaking of, that is the theme of climb number 2, is to engage. And it might go without saying, but this engagement is primarily from your legs. Those are the guys doing the work here. So So feeling some of that work, especially in your upper hip, pulling those knees back up to your chest. It is a great way to identify maybe slightly weaker hip flexor muscles. And I have experienced that, don't worry. But see if we can get some of that work in there. And at this point, we're about 30 seconds out from our next climbing round. It will feel slightly harder, probably than our seated effort. But again, as long as your watts match what we're doing right now, as long as your cadence holds the same, we are doing the work that we're supposed to. All right, 5 seconds out here. Let's go ahead, throw in whatever gears you need, and we will get up and out of the bike. Again, these are the cues that I'm throwing out to you guys. But if you're on your own timing, as long as it adds up to 6 minutes of work, 6 minutes of some kind of climb, then it's your workout. You're not doing any less work if you're straying from my guidance. It's just that I can only do one kind of work at a time. So this is how I've set up today's workout. But when you're standing up, you may feel it coming more naturally to you, that full engagement in your legs. Every time you step down through the pedal, you may start to feel the hamstrings and the glutes in the backsides of your legs working to push your legs down and in some ways pushing your body back up. So focus on this engagement. See if we can use both sides equally in our legs. So taking just a little bit of time to focus on that, getting that even work. And we are over halfway through this effort. This is probably where that reminder comes in to continue to breathe. That one is easy to forget, but without air, you're not gonna last very long here. So bring that air in through your nose or mouth, into your diaphragm, full belly of air. Send it back out and start again. About 45 seconds left here. You got this. 1 foot at a time. Quick check on your power meter. Should be right where we left it. And all we have to do is keep those smooth steps through our pedals. Pushing our feet down, pushing our bodies up, and hold on here for 15. Keep on going for 5. You got this. And we'll take a seat. Back some of those gears off. Whew. It always feels good to come back to recovery after a long climb. Per usual, 3 minutes here to yourself. Time to breathe, time to get water, time just to ease some of that tension in your legs. I'm looking down at my bike computer because I've started sweating all over it, but I'm afraid to touch anything because I don't want to click anything on the screen. So we'll see how that goes. But you guys have done a great job so far. With this, we're about halfway through our workout today, at least the main chunk of it. At this point, we've done 2 of our climbs, and we just have 2 climbs left, and then a tempo ride. So after these last 2 climbs, getting to take off a decent amount of resistance from our legs, and just getting to spin it out for those last 8 minutes. So if you want to break it down and just say 2 more climbs, I am right there with you. You guys have just about a minute left for your own time here. Again, at this point, really hoping that heart rates have come down, feeling more calm in our bodies, legs getting refreshed as much as possible. Because ultimately, our legs are the things that will take the longest to recover, or just muscles in general. We are working out today to tire out our legs and to break them down so that they'll come back stronger, but that will take several hours, several days to feel that recovery. So in the seconds that we have right here, most of the work for recovery that we're doing is for our breathing. So that's why I always encourage getting back to a place where you can breathe more easily. And with under 10 seconds left, if you guys are ready, we're gonna get back into our working gears, easing in to that zone 5 work. And we're slow pedaling these first 3 minutes. Nice job. As I mentioned close to the start, my hope for you is that even if every effort isn't perfect, I know all of my efforts won't be perfect, just looking for more comfort every time we come back to this effort. So with almost our first minute down for our seated portion, maybe feeling slightly more comfortable with this 3rd rep that we're doing today. And if you're saying to yourself, Trinity, I'm still figuring it out, that is also okay. No goal is too big or too small. I know that bike riders come in all shapes, sizes, and experiences. I've biked with people that have ridden for decades, and so their goal is to inch up those last few watts that they can possibly push out. That's because they've been biking for a long time. They figured out their watts, they've had that time, and now they're trying to improve on top of that. And I've also biked with total beginners. I've been on group rides with people on e-bikes and bikes that they've gotten off Facebook Marketplace, and they're like, listen, I'm just trying to survive this ride. And that is also totally fine. Doesn't make anybody more or less of a rider for the time that they've been on the bike. The only really important thing to being a cyclist is getting on. And similarly, if your entire relationship with biking is on a spin bike indoors, I respect that also. There is truly no wrong way to do it. If you're able to find the fun in being on a bike seat, that's all there is. But speaking of fun, we're a little less than 30 seconds out from our next climbing effort. It's our second to last one. 6 minutes left total of our standing climbs. So just mentally preparing for that. I'm gonna go ahead, get my extra gears on, and let's go ahead. Stand up. Maybe finding that slower pace in your standing climb. But at the end of it, just looking at your watts, looking at your power. And also, if you're not on a bike with watts, that's totally fine. I maybe should have mentioned this earlier. You can absolutely do this workout, even if you have no information at all from your bike. As long as you have enough gear that supports you to stand up, like we're doing now, you feel your body moving slow, and then you add whatever gears you need to feel that strong effort coming through your legs. That is just as good of a workout as with numbers. If I didn't have my bike computer in front of me, I should still be able to do this exact same workout and feel similar at the finish as I would with the bike computer. I can feel the hard effort through my legs. I can feel the back sides of my legs doing all that work. And while we're up here, a quick note about our form, especially as we might start to get more tired on the bike. When we're doing a standing climb, from top down, our head should be relatively up, looking forward. Heads down is going to cut off a lot of your air and your wind, so keeping that straight as possible will also encourage your upper body to be relatively up as well. Hands on the handlebars are just here for support. They're not doing a hard grip, helping you push through the pedals. That job is for your legs and your legs only. So as we get to the bottom, feeling each leg push straight down, feeling our knees bend as our legs come up and around. Whew. Just less than 20 seconds, guys, come on. Hold on for 5, you got this. And we will take a seat. Back off those gears. Use this time just to spin out. These efforts do start to stack up. Find some control over your breathing. When you're ready, drink some water. Ooh. Okay. Hopefully you're already starting to feel better. Body's moving slower, not using the same effort to push those pedals around. And guess what? We just have one more climb to go for this workout. So getting ready, getting reset, doing a little mental check-in. If we can make this climb the best climb we've done tonight, by best, I just mean cleanest, most confident, getting to that climbing spot quickly and minimizing the guesswork that we're doing trying to find our effort, because hopefully we've had that increasing comfort with how we feel on the bike. I think in the workouts that I've done so far, I have sweat the most in this one. So if you can see it in the video, I apologize. But this is really great for us to increase that strength. Obviously our bodies are working here. And before this last climb, if you're doing a mental check with yourself and saying, I don't know what anybody's talking about, this feels kind of easy. See if for this last one, we can try adding a bit more gear. That may increase your zone and your effort just a bit. But otherwise, I have full confidence that you guys are putting in the work and that we can hold these last 6 minutes together. All right, we're about 15 seconds out. Starting to think about getting back in our gear. Again, our first part of the climb is seated. And here we go. Finish making your changes because our 6 minutes starts now. And our legs are getting right back into it. This last set, and most of the time with last sets for anything, this is our mental set. Focusing on our mentality. Again, I've challenged you guys to make this climb the best that we've done all night. This is usually the point where we start to get tired naturally. And our body says, I would love to take a break. Please don't make me do this again. But this is really that opportunity where building strength, getting stronger comes in, and it feels like a challenge. It is rare, if ever, that we get stronger and get better without having to push through a challenge. So just keeping that in mind, holding on to this effort. Again, in some ways, the nice part of this workout is that we do get to move slower. A lot of times, hard, heavy work comes with a little bit more speed because we're pretending like we're on flat ground and just pushing harder gears. But you can think of yourself as on a nice incline. I live in the greater Seattle area, so there are lots of hills out where I live. Some of them are worse than others, I'll be quite honest. But it's always great training. It's hard in the moment, but it definitely adds strength to the legs the more that you do those hills. Just a minute left here, seated. And before I start standing up and getting all out of breath, things like that, I'll go through our last tempo effort here, because you'll notice we don't have a recovery before tempo. So we will have time to make that transition after we sit down, but really doing our best not to take off all of our gear, and pretty much right away adding that speed instead. And like I mentioned, tempo will be zone 3. That effort is like right at a 5 out of 10. So it should feel easier than even this climb we're doing right now. But just starting to think about what that transition looks like, what the difference in our efforts might feel like, so that we'll be ready for it. But getting ready, in about 5 seconds, we are going to stand. So let's add these gears, and we are standing. Yeah, I'm trying to keep my body nice and slow. I think earlier I was going a bit fast, and so my watts were getting pretty high. But just having a mental dialogue with yourself through this last climb, whatever that looks like. I see all kinds of methods. I've done math in my head, counting seconds and saying, oh, what's half of a half of a half? kind of thing. Visualization can also be helpful. I mentioned the hills out in the Seattle area. They are wonderful, especially in summer. So if I picture myself gliding up one of those, it can sometimes make it feel a bit more rewarding than cycling inside my house. But otherwise, it is whatever works best for you to get through these moments. Just like when we were seated, these are the times where you're gonna get stronger as long as you can get through it. If we stopped every time it got hard, we wouldn't have very much growth available to us. So digging in wherever we need to make it through these last few seconds. We're about 40 seconds left here, so keep it going. We're almost to the top of this hill. As a reminder, when we sit down, we're going to be looking to take off gear relatively quickly and looking to add speed instead. So keep on going here for just about 10 more seconds. And here comes our transition. Let's take a seat, back off those gears, and finding that faster pace, adjusting gears as needed. We do have 8 minutes here, so we do have lots of time for a little bit of trial and error. But we're slowly getting up to speed. This is probably one of the faster speeds we've done today. But once we settled in there, then finalizing your gears until it feels like a 5 out of 10. And how I tend to describe a 5 out of 10 is that if we just did this for a full hour, we could do it for over an hour straight. But it's kind of right in that middle field between not easy, but not quite hard just yet. So definitely manageable minute by minute, but we are certainly feeling full engagement in our legs. Typically here, I'll coach for more intentional breaths. So it's not just that you could be chit-chatting all day. We are taking deeper breaths here, but we should still feel conversational. So if you've been on a bike for a long time, or also if you're a runner, you'll know what that conversational pace feels like. You can keep talking with relative ease, kind of like I'm doing right now, but in between sentences, you might hear it, you might see it, still making sure air is getting through the body, and spending just a little bit of our focus on that. But hopefully by now, you're starting to get more comfortable. And again, as we go through these next 5+ minutes, if you find room to make adjustment, that is totally fine. But once we get to the end of these 8 minutes, we are cooling down. So the great news is that this is our last effort for this ride. And then we'll just have 5 minutes to bring it all down, really get our heart rate low and getting some little stretches in before we end the video. So that's why in the meantime, we are still doing work. I am definitely still sweating, not quite as hard as before, but it is also at this effort that you should be able to take in water without too much issue. So if that is something that you're able to do, we haven't had a full break since our last climb, so this is a great time to do that. Man, I feel like I'm soaking my shirt through. Maybe in the corner I should put a little fan to get some air on me, also make it feel like I'm outside. I often find that I get sweatier on indoor rides than I do outdoor, because the benefit of being outside is that you have that wind blowing in your face, helps to cool you down just a bit. In winter, it is significantly less fun, but during summer rides and I guess when it's about room temperature outside, having that little bit of wind does feel pretty nice. But regardless, we are pushing through. We have less than 4 minutes left here. And so hopefully you found your rhythm several minutes ago, but all you need to focus on now, once you found it, is holding that nice, steady cadence. If your cadence stays still, everything else will hold, because we're not changing our resistance here. We're not changing that side of things, resistance, power, whether it's through the bike or pretending like we're on an incline. Our only real variable here is our speed. So keeping that still means that nothing else is changing. And that is what we're going for here. 8 minutes holding a single effort can feel like a long time. And this was meant to be longer at the end of the ride. We certainly could have maybe fit in one more rep or just changed up the workouts to do a 5-rep situation. But we're kind of picturing ourselves here that we've done some progressive climbs. We've done 4 different climbs tonight. And now we're just finishing up. We've crested that hill and we're riding a smooth straightaway towards the finish line. So one of the challenging parts of rides in general can be switching your mindset mid-ride. Because if you're climb, there's not much to have you switch between efforts. You're just climbing. But if you're doing speed and climb or tempo and climb or any other 2 combination of efforts together, that is also training both your brain and your body to work on those different efforts, putting them back to back, ultimately strengthening the transitions that you have between them, as well as the quality of that work after you switch. So we just have about 90 seconds left here. Last 90 seconds of work for this ride. Once we get to the end of this interval, I'm just gonna have us take off all of our gear, ride nice and easy, bringing our heart rate totally down before we jump off the bike, and also giving our legs an opportunity to shake the rest of that heavy lactic acid out before we jump off. So less than a minute left. You don't have to change a thing. Just keep on going steady. In fact, don't change a thing means do your best not to slow down. Try not to take off an extra gear if you can help it, just for these last few seconds, because we will be done super soon. About 15 seconds left here. Getting in the last bit of work. I know that my heart's still working, my legs are still feeling it. So we're finishing strong. And we will take off some gears. You can take them off one by one or all at once. My only goal is that you feel your legs slowing down from that slightly elevated tempo pace. Feeling that resistance come out from underneath your pedals. And just taking on a free spin here. Free spin means lots of room to do basically whatever you want, as long as it feels easy. And we mostly just do this, again, for the sake of our heart rate, so we don't jump off the bike like still sweating, kind of still in this adrenaline flight or fight mode, essentially. We want to have that time, kind of like we're just circling the parking lot after we finished a ride. Or for a similar reason that after a track workout, you might walk once or twice around the track, or just after a run, walk it off just a bit. Because it would be kind of odd to stop running and then get right into your car while your heart's still beating super quick. It's the same concept here. But we're back to that 1 or 2 effort out of 10. Just letting our legs flow right over those pedals. You can sit up if you want, getting the rest of that air into your body. Though my hope is by now, you're breathing super easy, not even worried about intentional breaths anymore. And if at this time you want to pair this workout with another video, or you want to switch to your own cool down, that is totally fine. My only hope for you is that you do cool down to some degree. And in general, after you guys work out, regardless of what kind of workout you're doing, that you take some time to cool down and stretch. I've always found it one of the more tedious parts about working out is taking time just to lie in the ground, stretch for several minutes. But it definitely does make a difference, especially over time. Incorporating those cool down stretches means that your body's not going to tighten up quite as much. You may very well still be sore tomorrow. That is fine and expected. Nothing is wrong if you are sore after a workout. But sometimes that feeling of tightness, like when you try to walk around and your body's like, oh, every step kind of feels really tight, trying to mitigate those effects with our cool down stretches while your body's still relatively warm, getting all that out. Just another 2 minutes here. I would love if you guys did feel really good at this point and you're just hanging out with me for these last 2 minutes because you like being here, which is great. And we definitely have the time and we definitely have the light enough effort that if you're still wanting to drink water, it's a good time for that as well. And also after you hop off the bike, taking in more liquids, maybe even eating a bit of protein, always a good idea. But just over a minute left here. And then we're gonna get wrapped up for the day. You guys did awesome work. That first climb, quite honestly, had me questioning my decisions leading up to this moment. But we absolutely made it through all 4 sets. 24 minutes of actual climbing, a little bit of recovery in between, and some tempo work right at the very end. So the hope is that if you're doing these climbing or just general strength workouts over time, that you'll gain that strength, gain a little bit more muscles in your legs, and then pairing it with different kinds of workouts as well will make you an overall stronger cyclist, stronger athlete what have you. Just about in the last 10 seconds here, and we're gonna be done. All right, great work today, guys. Awesome climbs. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for riding with me today. If you liked today's video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and save it to a collection for next time. If you want to see more of these, subscribe and get alerted to new videos. And if you have any workouts that you'd like to see, comment them down below. I hope you guys had a great ride, and I will catch you next time.